it's a very exciting time for the AFP because for the first time, halfpipe and slopestyle are going to be in the Olympics. And I think because of the formulation of the AFP, it's why it's there, because before the AFP, people talked about these sports being in the Olympics, particularly halfpipe skiing being in the Olympics. Snowboarding was in, why wasn't skiing? But unfortunately, it was a bunch of different people talking to different people all the time. There wasn't any direct communication with the right people. And once we formed the AFP, we had everything. We had the athletes, we had the right people, and we were able to go to FIS directly and say, hey, look, the athletes want this. The sport wants this. The industry wants this. So all of a sudden, it was a concerted effort by everyone that had originally just been saying it here and there to come together and say, we want in. And I think that's when FIS said, oh, this is amazing. They want in. Whereas, FIS's hesitation, I think, was really based on when they put snowboarding in, there were a lot of snowboarders that said, we didn't want this. So they didn't want to go through that process. And until there was an organization that FIS and the national governing bodies could talk to that really was the voice of free skiing, were they able to make an actual decision of saying, okay, this is the right move.
I think it's one of the things that we've really helped foster is the inclusion of free skiing in the Olympics for 2014. We have, through the unity that the AFP has given the free skiing world, we've created this centralized voice and centralized focus for free skiing, pipe, slopestyle, and even big air. And I think that has really helped the rest of the world, as well as the IOC, recognize the need to include that in the Olympics.
Well, there were so many factors in the inclusion in 2014 of halfpipe and slopestyle in the Olympics. A lot of work from a lot of people, a lot of the pioneers of the sport. Most notably Sarah Burke and everything that she did for the women's side of the sport and for the sport in general. Some of the pioneers like Tanner Hall and Simon Dumont, and these guys who really put the sport on the map and brought attention to the sport from a larger audience. Our role as the AFP was to take that attention and all of the work that the athletes had put in and organize it in a fashion that essentially met the standards of the IOC, which meant showing them that there was an international field. That meant creating a consistent schedule. Part of it was having world championships, having a world champion. So by the time the Olympics, when we did get inclusion, we had already had I believe 5 world champions had been named by that point. Or maybe 4, I guess, 4 world champions. And we had to show that we had 11 different nations that had competitions and had competitors. So I think the AFP's role was really just taking all the information that was out there that the pioneers of the sport, that the athletes had really put into the public eye, and organizing it in a fashion so that it essentially fit for to a certain degree the bureaucracy and the politics of the IOC and the other ski federations. God bless them, they got us in, but really the athletes get all the credit. They did the work. What we've done is simply take that work and package it in a way that it was palatable for the powers that be.
With 2014 being such an exciting year with the Olympics, a lot of people ask, what's next? How, what's this going to do with the sport and everything else? I think it's going to make the sport more popular. How much it's yet to be seen, but the one thing that's certain is that globally, there's probably 6 to 7 skiers for every snowboarder. Not to say that it's better or worse. It's just it's a numbers game, and the majority of those people also don't watch skiing on TV or anywhere. They might ski, a couple of weeks a year, but as a hobby, and that's it. However, they always turn on the TV to watch skiing in the Olympics. So there's a lot of people that have not seen an athlete go off a jump backwards or land backwards, as what we call switch. that I think it's going to open up a lot of people's mind to see what's possible in skiing. And I think there's definitely going to be a swirl of excitement around it. Is the growth going to be exponential? Are ski manufacturers going to make a lot more money because of it? I don't think so. I think it's a starting point, though, that is opening up a lot more eyes to the sport, and it's going to be our responsibility to take that opportunity and continue to tell the story so we can continue to engage the people who see it for the first time at the Olympics, to get them more involved over time. And it's going to be a process that's not going to be very easy, but at least the Olympics are going to show this sport to people who have never seen it before, and hopefully they're going to be the ones that go, hey, I want to see this a little bit more, and we can engage them and get them to pay attention a little bit more.
The Olympics is a huge opportunity because it's the first time that you're really introducing pipe and slope into the homes of your everyday person from the Midwest that maybe doesn't tune into X Games. So it's also a huge honor to go and say that you were an Olympic either medalist or just an Olympic participant.
So now, here we are in 2012, 13, and we've gained admission to the Olympics. So what was once a really big goal of ours has now come to fruition. And the question is now, so what next? Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? I was talking to a friend of mine, the well-known pioneer of the sport, Glenn Plake, and when I told him it looks like we're going to get in, Glenn, he said, well, you're fucked. You know, it's over. The sport's over. And it's an interesting point, and there is precedent for that opinion that things are going to change, and they're already changing. But the sport has to change. I mean, it has to evolve. And our position with the AFP is that we're not all about the Olympics. This is what we learned. The initial idea was, oh, let's get the sport into the Olympics. What we learned is that the Olympics are just a part of the schedule. They are not the end all of the sport by any means, and any skier will tell you that. What they are is something that's going to bring more recognition and more attention to the sport. So how we manage that now is the key, and that's why it's so good that there is the Association of Freeskiing Professionals, because we, as an organized body and with the opinions of the athletes, we can make sure that we temper the different pulls that there are going to be on the sport and on the athletes because of the Olympics, and try to stay true to the whole idea of launching the AFP, which was to have a voice for the athletes and to keep the creativity and the spirit and the soul of free skiing alive. That's the goal. You know, I'm not going to say that it's going to be easy in the face of what is coming with the Olympics of it. We'll see. The jury is out.